Hey, how you guys doing? My name's GamerLad, and today we're going to talk about the new patch for Helldivers. There is some major changes to Helldivers 2, like some major changes. And there is a whole video that I will link. I'm trying to point with my hand, and even though it doesn't work like that. But anyways, here's a quick overview of the actual patch. Major overhaul of anti-tank armor penetration, health and armor values, weapon and stratagem balancing, enemy reworks, Helldiver health and damage mechanics tweaks, gas gameplay mechanic rework, which makes sense with the gas war bond coming out in a couple days, new galactic war feature, emote wheel feature, which sounds awesome, and crash and bug fixes. Major updates. Helldivers, thank you for your valuable feedback. Many players have expressed feeling constrained in how they approach challenges, often relying on a limited set of tools while other options seem less effective. This has impacted your ability to play the game in a way that suits your preferences. So what's changing? For all the bug divers out there, many situations were previously either resolved with your primary weapon or anti-tank weapons, which haven't performed as expected. With the overwhelming presence of Bile Titans and Chargers, many weapon choices therefore became invalid. To address this, we've reworked armor penetration, anti-tank weapons, enemy armor, and health values. Our goal is to improve the effectiveness of weapons such as the autocannon, heavy machine gun, the flamethrower, which we'll talk about later, and anti-material rifle against heavily armored enemies. Although they may not be as effective as specialized anti-tank weapons, they are now a more viable choice, making your loadouts more versatile, fostering better team collaboration and planning. On the bot front, Hulks have also had their armor reduced, making them more vulnerable to a wider range of weapons. Additionally, to improve the gameplay experience, the Devastators and gunships will now have a limited supply of rockets, and those rockets won't hit as frequently as before. This comes alongside the previously updated smaller impact radius for the rockets, reducing excessive ragdolling. Which I do remember when I first played, I just got ragdolled and then ragdolled and then ragdolled across the map so many times before when there's so many rockets. But continuing, we've also made improvements to many primary weapons, which is very true. I already read these patch notes, it's insane, bringing them closer and effective to the most popular choices. This should offer more variety and flavor during your play sessions. We are adjusting damage mechanics to make the damage Helldivers receive more consistent over time by reducing 100% extra headshot damage down to 50. That's a big change. To maintain the overall challenge of the game, we've slightly increased the damage taken to other parts of the bodies. Our intent is to preserve the intensity of the gameplay while minimizing frustrating situations where sudden headshots cause large damage spikes. Which I do know has happened, and the video that they talk about, they kind of mentioned the bot just gets lucky and then headshot, and it sucks. Like they mentioned in the video, the guy was playing and just got headshot and then he just died, and there's nothing you can really do about it. With these changes, along with an upgraded Helldiver arsenal, enemy adjustments, and more consistent damage, the overall difficulty may slightly decrease. We'll be monitoring this closely and will listen to the community on how you think it feels. We want to assure you that your feedback remains essential to us. Please share your thoughts on these updates as we are actively listening. We plan to conduct another balance pass by day 60 of our commitment to ensure that we are aligning with what you need for the best possible experience and to address any concerns or adjustments required. Your insights will be invaluable in refining these changes and making sure the game remains engaging and enjoyable for everyone. So I don't remember what day we are on the day 60 plan, but they are listening to feedback, and a lot of these buffs aren't just them reverting back to a previous version of the weapon, but I remember the Liberator concussive. When we get there, I'll explain it, but they did more stuff to balance it in a proper way. Speaking of balancing, previously partial damage dealt 50% of full damage, which we found to be overly punishing and reduced effectiveness too much, leading to an excessive reliance on high armor penetration weapons. We've now increased partial damage to 65% of full damage to address this issue. The Helldiver now takes less damage from headshots, which previously dealt an extra 100% extra damage, but now inflict only 50% extra damage. Damage from hits to other body parts have been slightly increased depending on the area hit. This adjustment aims to normalize overall damage while maintaining detailed damage zones, reducing spike damage. I will say I did play around before recording this. They mentioned in the video too that your limbs are going to break more and you'll get the Sweet Liberty My Leg line quite a bit more often. So keep that in mind, but you're not just getting oh, it's a little bit of damage, then you're dead. A huge spike suddenly, or oh, headshot dead instantly every time or anything. So it is more balanced in that way. Okay, let's talk about the primary weapons now. So first, the Liberator and Liberator Carbine. Damage is increased from 60 to 70, This is for both those weapons. Durable damage is increased from 14 to 17. The stagger force is increased from 10 to 15, so there's a little more stagger. Max spare magazines has gone from 7 to 8. Starting spare magazines is from 5 to 6 without having the Hellpot optimization. Next, the Knight SMG. This was that special Super Citizen one that was fun but had insane recoil. Its damage has been increased from 50 to 65, durable damage from 5 to 7, magazine now fully refill when picking up a resupply, I didn't know that was a thing, and reduced recoil. That's going to be really nice for that, actually. I was talking about the Liberator concussive earlier, so let's talk about it. Now it comes with a drum magazine, which holds 60 rounds. If I'm correct, the previous one held 30. Numbers of mags reduced from 10 to 6. The number of mags have been reduced due to larger magazine capacity. And at first, that sounds like a really bad nerf, but hear me out. So in the video, they talk about this specific thing, and I think this was a good balance, actually. So you had 10 mags, each one was 30 rounds. If I remember correct, that means they had a total of like 300 rounds, but now they've gone to 6. But since it's a drum mag, it holds 60 rounds. There's actually 360, so it's still a buff. You just have to be more strategic with your reloads. And also, that being said, I think the drum mag for this weapon is good because, and they mention it too, and this is how I've always used it, is more crowd control to keep people back. But the reload, I'd just run out so quick and I'd have to reload. But having 60 rounds and not having to reload as often, it's going to be really nice for the use of this weapon and increase its utility overall. The Tenderizer. First of all, the number of the rounds in the magazine has been increased by 5, 30 to 35. And the starting magazines has been increased from 45. Otherwise, no big change there. The breaker is back to what it was, and now it comes with an extended magazine, which holds 16 shells, and the stagger force is increased from 10 to 5. The spray and pray breaker has not been getting all the love it deserved, and so it now has a duckbill muzzle, which making it spread instead of it like shooting more vertical all over the place, it's more horizontal, and the total damage has been increased from 192 to 240. I think I'll be using that for bugs more and maybe low-level bot missions. The scythe. So the cooldown is now faster, adjustment to the heat VFX, a scope has been changed now to a low-powered scope, removed recoil. Not reduced, removed. They still kept the set enemy on fire, except now, because that's now been a thing, they were saying there's an issue of the enemy is usually dead by the time they caught on fire. They now set on fire faster. The crossbow. So the explosive crossbow, as we all know, is now one-handed, but they reduced the explosion radius previously. Now, the explosion radius is closer, if not the same, to what it was. It's been increased by 50%, and the explosion damage increase has been from 150 to 350. The eruptor. The shrapnel is back. We heard your feedback and reintroduced the shrapnel. We have replaced the original shrapnel with the frag grenade shrapnel to no longer instantly one-shot Helldivers, with the exception of the occasional unlucky headshot. So they said there was a glitch when it first came out. This is one of the reasons they removed the shrapnel, where it was doing like 9,000 damage sometimes. They had to work it out, but either way, the shrapnel projectiles amount are set to 30. Shrapnel damage is set to 110. Explosion damage decreased from 340 to 225. We also increased the amount of shrapnel. Explosion radius, however, is bigger by 33%, 17% for the inner explosion radius and 50% for the outer. And then the Defender SMG, they felt like just needed a small buff, so its damage was increased 70 to 75, and the durable damage was from 7 to 8. I really like that SMG, so I'm pretty amped about that. The Liberator Penetrator. They said a lot of people were using this, but it was too weak on damage, and now the damage has been increased from 45 to 60. The damage increase for the Liberator Penetrator is now the same damage of what the normal Liberator was before this buff. Big increase, and it does the medium armor penetration, so it's going to be dealing that partial damage. For snipers, first, the Diligent Sniper damage has been increased from 125 to 165, and the durable damage has been increased from 32 to 42. The Counter Sniper has been increased from 140 to 200. That's a 60 damage increase. Durable damage from 14 to 50. And Stagger Force from 15 to 20. Okay, so that is now a medium sniper like it's supposed to be. That is a huge increase. Holy crap. The Blitzer, they said it was one of the stronger guns in the game, so they didn't want to do major changes to it, but it now has a weak stun effect. It builds up per shot on its targets, so the weak stun effect will build up over time. Torture damage has been increased by 50%, and I did try this weapon out, and it works really good now. The Flamer mechanics reverted to before the Escalation of Freedom update, and its AP has been increased from 3 to 4. For sidearms, the Peacemaker has been increased max spare magazines from 5 to 6, I never really use it that often. It's like when I'm really bored. The Laz Dagger gains heat more slowly. It has the removed recoil, as all lasers do. Damage has been increased from 200 to 250, and it sets enemies on fire faster, and adjustments to the heat VFX again. Crisper, the damage has been increased by 50%, and the flamer mechanics reverted to back before Escalation Freedom updated, and increased AP from 3 to 4. Sorry if anyone can hear the fan, it was getting hot in the room. Support weapons. Dedicated anti-tank weapons like the recoilless rifle, Quasar, Commando, expendable anti-tank spear, and Patriot exosuit rockets have all received a significant damage boost to enhance their effectiveness. These weapons generally fall into 3 categories: strong and reliable. The recoilless rifle and spear can afford to be less accurate when firing at armored targets, since most hits will eliminate enemies the size of a charger. And they did show this in the video. Almost no matter where you hit on about charger size enemies, the spear will insta-kill. I think the damage is like 4,000 or something crazy, they said. And the recoilless rifle too, it's almost anywhere. There's very few spots where it won't instantly kill a charger where you hit, like head or I think the side. Things like the Bile Titan I know can take more, but they were saying it shouldn't on average take more than 2 shots now for a spear to kill a Bile Titan or something like that. Strong. The expendable anti-tank and Quasar are highly effective, often killing targets with a single hit to a weak spot. Otherwise, 2 solid shots will handle a charger, or 1 shot for the Hulk. So these are very strong weapons, but they could easily take 2 shots if you miss, but generally 1 shot will be enough. And then the less strong weapons, such as the Commando and Patriot exosuit rockets, typically require 1 to 3 shots to take down a charger or Hulk depending on your aim. So they're still very powerful, it does depend on your aim, but they can require more shots. Okay, I'm really happy about these changes because it makes those way more effective, so I don't have to have every single person on the team has to have like some extreme armor piercing weapon. It feels like now. It feels like you can have more diversity for higher levels at least. The grenade launcher got a change apparently, so starting with the spare magazine increased from 1 to 2, you actually you have more magazines in general now from 2 to 3. That's really nice. That increases its utility by an insane amount. That's going to be great for crowd control and bug nest destruction. And the explosion radius slightly increased. Still got to be careful of that bounce, but otherwise the grenade launcher wasn't like in a bad spot. That's just making it stronger. The laser cannon, the cooldown is slightly faster. Remove the recoil, it sets enemies on fire faster, of course, and it can now damage heavier enemies like Chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, and Hulks, and adjustment to heat VFX. But it can now damage without hitting that specific weak spot, which is really nice, actually. I think this will be more fun, and more people are going to bring it now because it can now, even if it's a weaker option, it is a viable option. The arc thrower range has been increased from 35 to 55 meters. That is a big increase. Now has a moderate stun effect that builds up on its targets, just like the Blitzer, which I'm interested on. Jumps more times between the enemies, and its durable damage was from 50 to 100. They kept making jokes about being a TK weapon, so it has more range to TK now, but maybe to hit all those enemies, the teammate can shoot you first, and then it'll hit all the other enemies and finish them. But Railgun, I did use it. It's really good. I'm a little scared it'll be too strong, but you do have to overcharge it. But I don't think it's like launch strong, where if you hit the right spot, it was 1 shot at Bile Titan. It's still going to take a few shots to get them, but you can take down larger enemies with it. But specifically, let's read the actual stats on it. Durable damage increased from 60 to 225. Fully overcharged damage increased from 150% to 250%. That is a huge increase. Overcharging is going to do insane damage, but in general, you're still going to do really good damage with it. Stalwart damage is increased from 60 to 70. The durable damage is increased from 14 to 17, and stagger force increased from 10 to 15. So the machine gun, stagger force has been increased from 15 to 20, so just more stagger. The machine gun was in a good spot. There's not a reason to always bring it, I feel like. There wasn't a big change, I think, needed there. Anti-material rifle. The durable damage has been increased from 135 to 80. It can now damage heavier enemies like Chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, and Hulks. And the stagger force increased from 20 to 25. Heavy machine gun, stagger force is increased from 20 to 25, and it can now damage heavier enemies like Chargers, Bile Titans, Impalers, and Hulks. Commando, demolition strength against structures has been reduced. Oh wait, it just says reduced, not removed. Okay, because originally it was a glitch if I remember, and they were talking about removing it. So they didn't remove it. It can no longer destroy automaton fabricators in a single shot. However, since the fabricators now have health, it can still take them out in 2 shots. So that's interesting on the health thing. So if I have a heavy damaging weapon, heavy armor, like piercing weapon, okay, I want to play with that. Like, I wonder if the recoil is after enough shots on the side would destroy it too, since they have health. I wonder then too if 2 expendables could take one out. Well, here's a big one that caused a lot of issues, the flamethrower. And I did use it. But before I read these, It is way better, and it can kill the chargers now. So damage is increased by 33%, flame mechanics reverted to pre-escalation freedom. The armor penetration is from 3 to 4, so it does do better AP, and can now damage heavier enemies like chargers, Bile-Titans, Impalers, and Hulks. The flamethrower, it is in a good spot. Last weapon is the autocannon. Just like all the other weapons, it is more viable. The autocannon has always been a great jack-of-all-trades weapons, and so it's just even better now. Probably gonna be taking a lot more, honestly. Let's talk about some grenades, and I did try one of these out already. So the frag grenade, which I don't think anyone used, everyone used the high explosive. The shrapnel damage increased by roughly 50%, max amount increased from 4 to 5, refill increased from 2 to 3, and explosion rate increased. So it should be better against infantry and stuff. We'll have to see, because I don't think anyone took it, honestly. The thermite grenade, I did try this. The damage has increased from 100 to 2,000. Realize how much that is. It's way shorter until it actually ignites the thermite. The time until it explodes is slightly reduced. The max number has been decreased from 4 to 3. I know it's a nerf, but it's absolutely worth it, because one of these on the head of a charger, guaranteed it's going to die 100%, and it will mess up a Bile-Titan even too, like deal some significant damage to it. So the thermite grenade is what it should be. It is a anti-tank grenade that is powerful. Stratagems. So every stratagem capable of damaging heavily armored enemies has had their damage increased to account for the increased health of heavier enemies. And we'll talk more about that later. I know some people might get scared of that, but the goal with this change is to have the stratagems on a similar or higher power level than before. In addition to that, we've made the following changes as well. So the Eagle 500 kilogram bomb, the explosion radius increased to match to visuals better. It is a lot bigger. I was at a range where nothing would happen and I didn't get hurt or anything, but I got ragdolled. This thing's explosion radius is massive now. It is awesome. I haven't tried Eagle rockets yet, but the damage is slightly increased. Gatling sentry, the stagger force increased from 15 to 20. Machine gun sentry, stagger force increased from 15 to 20. Tesla tower increased stagger force to match the other arc weapons. Now has a moderate stun effect instead of a weak one, like the blitz shotgun. Stun effect that builds up upon hit of its target. The heavy machine gun emplacement, stagger force increased from 20 to 25. Can now damage heavier enemies like chargers, Bile-Titans, Impalers, Hulks, and again increasing its viability without being overpowered, and I'm liking that. Patriot exosuit, the Gatling stagger force from 15 to 20. Also Emancipator exosuit, I did try this. This one is, it feels powerful. The autocannons on it don't feel like the backpack one that you carry that's weaker. They feel like the autocannon turret. Way bigger explosion, way more powerful. So the autocannon durable damage increased from 60 to 150. The rate of fire on its weapons increased from 125 to 175, and it is I bumped my microphone, that was terrifying. The rate of fire of its weapons increased from 125 to 175, and the ammo increased from 75 to 100 per arm. It's 25 more. And the orbital laser damage slightly increased, orbital rail cannon damage slightly increased, orbital gas strike. We are reworking the gas gameplay mechanics to become more crowd control focused in preparation for the chemical agent's warbond. The gas effect has been reworked to cause blindness and confuse enemies and Helldivers alike at the expense of reduced damage over time. So it does do reduced damage, but actually the blindness now makes sense because there were all these warriors just start slashing like anything because they don't know fully what's going on. So the blindness effect is there. It confusing them was definitely noticeable because they would just start hitting literally the air for no reason or run into walls and stuff. They were getting confused, and I kind of like that effect for it. Here's some general gameplay stuff. So general new Galactic War feature. The Galactic War map now displays the location of strategically important assets. This will make it much easier for Helldivers to take them into consideration when deciding on their next move. So I'm going to guess real quick that basically if we need to take planet A or something, it's going to highlight it so we don't have to like find it or anything. So it's just going to be easier for that. An emote wheel feature. Players can now equip up to 4 emotes in the armory and access them by using the emote wheel feature by holding the emote button. Additional separate key binding options are available as well for the emote wheel. This is something we've talked about for a long time because you always could just pick the one and that was it. But now we have an emote wheel. I am so happy about that, and I can't wait to equip multiple emotes because I always want the Super Earth salute as like a standard, but I want to have the other emotes too. Dolby Atmos support on PS5, so some sound stuff real quick. Enemies. First, Automaton Fabricators. Automaton Fabricators now have health and armor in addition to their existing destruction system. This means that while many high armor penetration weapons can still destroy them, it may take multiple hits to do so depending on the weapon used. Added effects to clear showcase their health state. So as they take damage, there's going to be effects to show how much damage is done. That's kind of nice actually. Hulks. All versions. All their armor has been reduced from 5 to 4. Back weak spot slightly stronger though, and back weak spot health Decreased though from 1,800. This is something interesting. The Hulk Bruiser, it no longer has a rocket launcher. It now has an energy-based cannon, and it increased how frequently the Hulk Bruiser shoots. So it shoots more often, but even the devs were saying they're getting annoyed with getting ragdolled, so it has an energy-based cannon now. The tank, its front armor has been increased from 5 to 6. The Berserker head health has been reduced from 150 to 125. That is nice. Its main, I didn't know it had 1,000 health. Wow, that explains a lot. Its main health has been reduced from 1,750. Abdomen is now a weak spot, but its chainsaw damage has been increased. So they're much easier to kill, but it can do more damage. I do like that. I like that change. They just felt like a bullet sponge before. Devastator's all versions. Main health reduced from 870 to 750. Devastators now flinch when hit, causing their aim to worsen, similar to how the conscripts work. The intent is to make them easier to manage if you keep applying damage. I really like that, because that's what I always try to do, but it was hard to cause them to flinch. But now you can. Much easier. I like that. Rocket Devastators. This is a big one. They now have a limited number of rockets, and you can see them disappear when they are spent. It does get one more barrage, has a reload mechanic from their backpack to replenish their rockets once. So I'm gonna guess you'll literally see it like grab a rocket and just like place it in the launcher, but that's fine. The rocket physics collision is smaller, making them easier to avoid as well. Gunships now have a limited number of rockets as well, and the rocket physics collision is also there. So gunships will be easier to handle. Charger, all versions. Armor reduced from 5 to 4. The butt weak spot health has been decreased from 1,100 to 950. Butt weak spot is also less durable. The belly armor is reduced from 4 to 5, which quickly before continuing, they were saying that you can use a normal weapon to kill it if you shoot it in the belly, with the exception, of course, of you have to be below it somehow. So it has to be like on a rock or something weird, but it is possible then. Continuing though, a damage multiplier has been added to the Charger's explosive flesh on the main body, now dealing 300% more damage. They don't charge as often. It isn't just charge. There's a little bit of wind up. However, though, they said they want it to feel like a bus hitting you or a freight train. So the charge damage has been increased by 50%, and the side attack where it like sidesteps you has been increased by 50% as well. The Charger Behemoth, the butt weak spot has been decreased from 1,200 to 950. That's really nice. The Charger Behemoth, the butt weak spot, has been decreased from 1,200 to 950. The Hunter, the health is reduced from 175 to 160. Scavengers, health reduced from 80 to 60. Bile Titan, armor reduced from 5 to 4. We have reworked the Bile Titan's belly gameplay, so introduced a separate belly health pool once the outer belly layer has been destroyed. So once you destroy the outer one that allows them to puke, it looks like there's another health pool for there. Destroying the exposed belly health pool kills the Bile Titan. Impaler. Armor reduced from 5 to 4. Previously, the Impaler can only retract its tentacles once during its entire lifetime when threatened. Now it can do it several times. So normally, last time it was just if you start shooting, it retract its tentacles. It could only do it one time. It can do it multiple times now. But that's good, meaning you can use any weapon and just shoot it. And they were saying this in their video too. You just shoot it a few times, it would retract so it could stop the attacks. Its tentacles pursue you over a shorter distance, so they can't go as far from the Impaler, and prioritize the players closest to the Impaler. If the Impaler can't see an enemy, it will retract its tentacles after a brief period. That's pretty nice. Impaler tentacle damage is increased. Reduced camera shake though from the tentacle attack, and the tentacles require less damage inflicted on them to retract. Planets and modifiers. Intense heat and extreme cold modifiers are no longer static throughout the entire mission and may now change based on the time of day or weather conditions. That's actually really nice. Some desert planets will now only have intense heat modifier active during the day. This means that during night the planet will have no modifier, or in some cases actually even extreme cold modifier. That's really accurate for deserts, and I like that. Arid planets similar to Hellmire planet will now only have the intense heat modifier during an active fire tornado storm. I'm not going to go over all the fixes, just the main ones real quick. Fix per weapon aim mode, not saving correctly. There's a lot here though. And this isn't even a bug fix focused one. Oh, there was a bug with their impalers didn't receive explosive damage in their exposed weak areas. Fix impaler tentacles not being pingable. And you can like pause and read through all these. So here's a list of known issues actually, and this is not a complete list of things that they haven't got to fix yet. They're either being worked on or they've known from previous things. Either way, it's not a comprehensive list of what they have. I'll quickly go through these. Top priority is not receiving friend requests on other platform. Large units having no audio cues. Enemies try to shoot the generators through walls. Enemies are sometimes capable of shooting through walls. Please fix that one. Social menu is stuck on please wait democratically for some players. Dead bodies of chargers can launch the Helldiver into the air. I mean, that one's not a priority to me. It's kind of fun when those dumb things happen sometimes, but charging balls bounce bounce unpredictably off cliffs in some spots. So that one's just always, that will honestly be one they always have to work on, I feel like. Reinforcements may not be available for players who join a game in progress. That's an interesting one. Mines may become invisible or disappear in some multiplayer. Yeah, that's a big issue. Pelican 1 can be launched away by Impaler Tentacle. That's probably should go to top priority. High damage weapons will not detonate hell bombs. That is definitely something that they should fix, but it's not a high priority, but that will be nice once it's fixed. Some enemies that bleed out do not progress personal orders or eradicate missions, so they're trying to fix all that. And then if you made it this far, this is Release Captain Carlberg, Vice Admiral Ayer, and Chief Correctional Officer Baskin signing off. May liberty guide your path. And of course, we have the Chemical Agents War Bond that will be coming out on the 19th. Anyways, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you so much if you stuck all the way through. What do you guys think about this update? Think it's going to be great? If you want more detailed, either check out the patch notes yourself or go watch their video, and consider following along if you want more Helldiver or other game news, or obviously I've been doing a lot of Space Marine as well. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.